These are my 8 decisions. These are my 8 decisions. The decisions for success. These are my 8 decisions.
Jason, how you be?
Good, man. Good. Haven't seen you since New Jersey.
I know Tony Robbins was like next level. It's kind of wild that we would meet at the airport, don't you think?
It was. I'm pretty sure I saw you getting on the plane, and I think I told you this. It took me a bit to place it. I was saying, I know this guy. I know this guy, and it clicked about 5 minutes after I sat down on the flight.
Yeah, we first met looking at a business I was looking to buy. And I couldn't quite get my wife turned over to say yes.
That's okay. No hard feelings. Someone else bought it.
Hey, I know. No, but since Tony Robbins, what was your big takeaway from that event?
The biggest thing was clarity. There's so many things that happen every day that throw us off course. We lose any sight of what's important, what's valuable, what makes us happy. And so it's refocusing all of that. It's saying every time you get in those dark places, every time you lose focus, thought on what you want your future to be, it's tactics and ways to bring that back to center for you. He's an amazing speaker. He's powerful. His team is super interesting in what they present. But at the end of the day, it's an internal process that he helps program into you. That is the most valuable thing I took.
Yeah. Well, that first day he spends on just helping you realize you can change your state.
Mhm.
And I guess I've always known that you can change your state, but I think we just forget and we go down, we think that something else is going to fix us. But for me, I've been doing this little 90-second rule that he teaches, where if you feel yourself in a low vibe state, I set my little watch for 90 seconds. I feel whatever I'm supposed to feel. If I'm feeling anxious, well, is anxiety telling me I'm supposed to do something? Am I procrastinating something? Is there something that I need to actually do? Because I think anxiety actually has some value because it will take you into action. But after that, after I do the feeling, and then I'm like, okay, I'm moving my body. And then it seems like I just coast right into normal again. So that was my big takeaway from that exercise.
Yeah. There's a creator I follow that always says movement is medicine. He created a brand around it, created a shirt. I love the concept, and I think it's the same thing Tony's saying in a way. Once you start moving, once you take action, whether it's forward, sideways, it doesn't matter. Just movement will change your state immediately. It's sitting there and wallowing that stops it.
Now, see, these are other things I got to fix in the studio. Random noises from why do all these appliances want to talk to you? I don't need to hear.
They're waking up.
They're waking up.
Yeah.
So you're a business broker.
Yeah.
Is that how you label yourself?
Yes and no. When someone asks what I do, if I say a business broker, I just get the blank stare. No one knows what that means. So I've started to share, I help small business owners sell their business. I go out, I market the business, I help value it, and I find the buyer, and then I help walk them both through to close a deal. That's the simplest term because honestly, most business owners don't even know what a business broker is. I don't expect the broader public to either.
So the types of businesses that you tend to work with are what?
I tend to be a little bit industry agnostic at my level, but I'm looking for businesses that do anywhere from, couple 100,000 to millions of dollars in revenue. Generally values can be anywhere between 50,000 to 20 million in what most business brokers do. What I specialize in, I specialize in manufacturing businesses, service businesses. Oddly enough, I think I'm the leading business broker in daycares in Alabama, something I never thought would happen. And I do a lot of fitness gyms as well. But my background is building products, financial services, things like that. So again, industry agnostic, but really a strong tilt towards, manufacturing service-based businesses.
Do you find that when you're working with a seller that they go through this emotional roller coaster through the sales process?
It depends. And the biggest factor, and something I ask when I have a conversation with the seller the first time, is what do you plan to do after you sell? If they have a clear, thought out answer and they can answer me confidently right away, I know it's going to be fine. If they can't answer that question, it's going to be a roller coaster, and I'm strapping in. I try and push them to say you should have a plan. If you don't have a plan, you're going to get cold feet at the 11th hour. You're going to sabotage your own deal, and you won't even know you're doing it. That's the key. You know what you're doing after, and you can smooth sail. You'll take step by step, and you won't live those ups and downs like most.
Mm. When you're working with a seller, do you find that they're pretty reasonable about what their expectation for the sale price is, or do you see that's all over the board?
All over the board. I've never had someone tell me that I valued their business too high. I'm almost always too low in their opinion. Um, that's the nature of the market. You have a market right now where interest rates on loans are 10%. The values aren't gonna be there. The cash flow has to support the debt payments. And so, unfortunately, values aren't what, sellers want them to be. They put in their blood, their sweat, their tears into this business. Unfortunately, you don't get those pieces out of it. You only get what the true financial show of the business and the platform that you build. So it's always a tough conversation, and there are a lot of people out there who do what I do, who will say, "Yeah, whatever you want, we'll put it out there at that price." Those people are doing a disservice. You're going to wait years. It's gonna be that emotional roller coaster. Um, it's tough news every time, but rarely do the values match what the sellers expect.
Why have a broker help you sell your business versus trying to sell it on your own?
Well, I'll answer your question with a question, which is, if you don't know a business broker exists, do you really know how to sell your business? Probably not. Where do you go to find buyers? Where do you go to actually market your business overall? How do you value your business? It's all questions most sellers don't have. But the biggest piece and the biggest reason you bring someone like myself is because we can go through the process of selling your business and take that all off your plate while you continue to run your business. If you're trying to do both, your business will start falling off. When your business falls off, those buyers drop off as well. They're not going to buy a business with declining revenues, declining profits. You're going to essentially burden yourself with two jobs at the same time when you need to focus on continuing to grow that business, keeping the ball rolling forward. We do that. So we take it all off your plate. We find the buyers, we screen them, we bring the right buyers to you at the right time, and then help you close that deal so that at the 11th hour, someone doesn't back out because you're doing too much.
Would you suggest that someone clean up the business before they reach out to a broker? When do you engage a broker?
Most people don't know to clean out the business before they engage the broker. So they come to us and they say, "Hey, I'm looking to sell it." We work through evaluation with them and we say, "Hey, there's quite a few issues. You need to fix these if you want to get the full value of the business. Otherwise, you're going to be leaving a significant amount of money on the table." There's not a right way. You can come to brokers. We'll have that conversation with you. The honest ones will tell you right up front, "Hey, you need to clean this up, get full value out of the business." Where most folks run into a problem is they're assuming what they need to clean up, or they're assuming what'll make it nice. They think, "I need to move into a shiny new office," or "I need a bunch of new trucks." That's where they fall apart. They try to clean it up themselves without getting sound advice. So perhaps, it's a good thing to talk to the broker first. We'll tell you what will actually move that needle point to get you the higher value. It's not new trucks. It's not a shiny new office. It's cleaning up the financials. It's getting all the crazy expenses that people might send through the business out of there. It's building a strong team that can handle the business when you step away.
You mean letting go of their uncle and their best friends that work in the business?
Or their dog that's on the payroll. We've actually seen that too.
How much does the dog get for
$200 a week.
$200 a week? Well, is he a mascot?
Emotional support dog, maybe.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, I've seen it work in some instances where it's like the dog in the showroom, and
Yeah.
all the customers loved the dog. And I literally had this. I had a dog, Sebastian, was on all of our packaging. Yeah, and people would come say hello to the dog. What is a buyer? Do a lot of buyers approach you to help find a business for them?
They do, and it's, disappointing because our business is the Wild West. It's not like real estate where you have a broker on both the buy side and a broker on the sell side. They're representing each side and working together. Um, the Wild West means that brokers don't work together. There's no regulation in our industry. There's quite a few unscrupulous people running around, presenting themselves as knowledgeable, doing terrible things to people. So because of that, buyers reach out to us. We do our best to educate them, but we can't represent them. There's no co-brokering, for the most part within Tennessee, the Southeast, the Midwest, the areas I work. Because of that, it's buyers needing education as the biggest gap in our industry. It's an ongoing issue that we need to address because buyers just don't know where to start, where to go, how to find good information, but they have that dream of entrepreneurship.
Mm. Well, it's got to. How does it feel though when you have a buyer that maybe he's working doing a 9 to 5, and they think they want to buy a business and run a business, and they don't have any experience?
Yeah, I was that guy too. So I empathize with them, and I try and give them a realistic perspective of what they're getting into. One is, are you going to be okay without health insurance or paying a crazy amount for it? My health insurance is absurdly expensive. I'm healthy, relatively young, and I'm going to have to come out at basically $10,000 out of pocket before my health insurance steps in and starts paying for anything. Are you comfortable with that? Well, if you have a family, you got to think even further along those lines. They also have to think about what skills do you really bring. So I think it's okay if you work a 9 to 5 to buy business, but if you're shopping for the wrong business, you think, I love, the fitness industry, so I want to own a gym. Okay, great. What experiences do you have that are going to help in that industry? Things like that are really missed among buyers. They're searching for what they like or what they think is cool. What they need to do is assess in my 9 to 5, what did I actually learn? What am I amazing at? Find a business that's missing that skill set. That's where you go. The other piece is what you expect to make. They have these dreams of, I'm going to buy this business and make, two, three, $400,000. Probably not going to work out like that. Your debt service is going to eat you alive for a couple of years, and you're going to have to reinvest to help build the business. You're not going to make as much as you think. So it's those realistic perspectives when you start putting them on it. A lot of those 9 to 5s do step away. Some still move forward, and are amazing buyers and work out. But I would say probably 3/4 of the people who want to buy business haven't thought through that. And if you don't have answers to those questions, you're likely not ready to jump into entrepreneurship.
Mm. What systems do you see when you go into a business where um, they don't really have any structure? It's a well-running business, but yet they just have nothing that's documented, and they don't have any true systems that you can speak of, or a manual or some kind of. w- w- How, how much harder is that to sell than a company that's running on some kind of other system like that's structured?
Yeah. When you see all those stats about, over half of the businesses listed out there don't sell, it's probably closer to 60 to 70%. It's because businesses like that make up the majority of what's out there. Most don't have systems or processes. They are built by someone who's really good at what they do. For example, someone in the roofing industry, incredible at diagnosing issues, guiding a contractor crew through repairing the roof, but never figured out how to use QuickBooks, never figured out a scheduling system. When those pieces are missing, it's near impossible to sell the business because someone stepping in needs to only, not only understand your industry, but understand how to build all the processes within your industry. You're making them learn two major things at once. What your ideal seller would have done is put those processes in place. A buyer steps in and they're not working in the business on day one. They're working on the business. They're working on growing it, on building it. Unfortunately, most businesses fall into the category you mentioned, no processes, no systems. And without those, you're never going to get full value. And it tends to be a coin toss. If you can find the right buyer, you got to find the perfect buyer and get lucky. And it's a good business, good systems, good processes. It's not getting lucky. Usually you have more than one buyer interested that would pull the trigger on the deal.
I'm in the market to buy a business now, and I go to those sites to find a business, and they're horrible. And all I see is a lot of franchises, some scammy kind of things that you're not sure if they're real or not. And there's every now and then you see like looks like a legitimate business, and often I'll reach out and get no response.
That's unfortunately, the bane of my existence. There's not good places to market and advertise businesses where you're trying to hit a wide distribution list. So you have the websites, Biz Buy Sell, is the main one that everyone talks about. It's a necessary evil in the industry until someone comes up with something better. It's basically your Zillow of businesses. And you're right. There's tons of people selling franchises. There's fake listings on there. There's brokers who leave listings up for 3 or 4 years that either closed down or sold just because they want to get your information. And then you'll reach out to some and you'll never hear back. You start to get better the more time you spend hunting. On my side, I can see a listing and tell you whether or not it's legitimate, but it took me years to get to that point. Um, where you can really start to build and find great businesses for sale is, reaching out on a business or two a broker has available, but when, maybe they don't work out, tell them what you're looking for. Send them a little bit of background on yourself. Tell them that you have banking connections or that you have the financial resources, whatever that may be, and make sure they know who you are and that you're serious. We do keep lists of buyers on our end, especially for specific industries. If you come to me and say, "Hey, I'm looking at buying some sort of trade business," and you're in digital marketing at a major company, I'm gonna say, "All right, you're probably not a really serious buyer. You've worked a 9 to 5 your entire life. This isn't right." But if you come to me and say, "Hey, I'm doing digital marketing for small businesses on the side. I'm super passionate about this. I actually want to buy a firm that's in this space already and grow it." It makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
We'll put you on a list and we'll reach out to you directly when that time comes. So there are ways to get around using those sites, but it's going to take you being really strong as a buyer, you being very focused on your criteria, and then you connecting with those brokers over time.
How easy is the SBA process for
Uh,
someone?
Brutal,
Brutal.
brutal.
Yeah.
And sorry, finish your question.
No, I've never been through the process, but I've heard some success stories. I've heard some other stories, but I'm curious, how that process is to navigate.
Yeah, it's one of the most cumbersome, brutal processes there is, and yet we don't have a ton of financial resources to lend to buyers in order to close transactions. At I'd say anywhere up to the $5 million level. SBA tends to be the predominant one. The issues are, one, the process is opaque. So even the SBA lenders, the business development guys at the banks, half the time don't understand the process or the rules. And you get down the line and they're coming up with other reasons or other things that come up that stop it. What we've also seen is a lot of these banks are racing to get loans. And so because they're racing so much, it's great revenue for them. They make a ton of money on fees. Well, they go out and they hire all these teams on the back end. The teams don't get properly trained. And so you now have a loan coordinator who's been in their job 3 months, who also doesn't really understand the rules, is going to ask you the same question 5 or 10 times or for the same documents. I ran into an issue probably a year and a half ago that made me nearly lose my hair and turn gray. And it's a cleaning company that had built the business, over a couple of years and sold to the buyer. I actually helped the buyer acquire the business. The buyer had an illness in his family, couldn't run it anymore, and asked me to help him sell a year later. And so we went out, we found a great new buyer, very interested, ready to go, and we start lining up an SBA loan. Well, the buyer realized, hey, the most profitable, clients are the smaller ones. The big ones aren't that profitable. And so it doesn't make sense to keep this big one on board. It accounted for maybe 15% of revenue, but they were losing money on servicing this client. And so they, went to the client and said, hey, we got to charge you more. We got to let you go. Client, of course, said, no way, you can charge me more. So they let him go. Immediately, profitability boosts in the business. Both the old buyer and The old buyer, now the seller, and the new buyer are happy. They're like, great, profitability is going up. The bank tried to pull the loan. They said the revenue's dropping. This is awful. I can't do it. And I couldn't understand the rationale. Like, you made a business more profitable. They now have less to manage. They can go out and hunt other accounts. And you're telling me that this is a bad idea. You work a 9 to 5 behind a desk. You've never spent a day in entrepreneurship in your life. I can tell you this is a good idea. Every business owner will tell you this is an amazing idea. And you guys at the bank are now telling me this is a bad idea. They don't think the way entrepreneurs do. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, do you have to have a personal guarantee to do an SBA loan?
In most cases, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you are putting up your life against that loan.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's frightening when the business isn't doing well and you're about to lose the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was looking at buying a business, I was considering an SBA loan. And the question becomes, all right, do I get this SBA loan? Do I keep it all to myself? Do I try and run it all myself? Or do I bring on partners? And in the end, I found partners with different skill sets than me. And we decided, all right, we can actually pull together the cash, not deal with the bank, go through a 3 to 4 month process where we have no idea if it works and have to deal with crazy questions. We're going to just use our savings to buy this. And we were able to move from, final negotiation to closing within 2 weeks.
Yeah. I think a lot of people kind of forget about the benefits of partnership in many different ways, just not only sharing the workload, but the financial risk too.
Have you ever read the book Blue Collar Gold by Mark Stoner?
No.
He's out of Murfreesboro. He built, I think, Ashbusters is the name of it. He was on CNBC as Bleak Guy in LIS.
Mark, yeah. It's crazy you said that. I've been on a retreat with him.
He wrote in his book that he discourages people from, hiring partners, or not hiring, but finding partners and having them run the business. And then in his book, he also puts his email address. And he doesn't really say why he discourages partners. He goes, hey, if you ever want to know something, reach out to me. And so I sent him an email and I was like, Mark, you didn't elaborate. I'd love to know this. And I still haven't gotten an answer back. So if anyone knows Mark, I'd love to hear why he's so adamantly against partners, because I found they're amazing.
Well, here's the thing about partnerships. If you don't have a partner, you want a partner. If you have a partner, you wish you didn't have a partner.
Yes.
That's what I've heard over and over. But I mean, there's value in it, and there's also risk when you get tied to the wrong person. I've heard horror stories, but just like anything, you just have to be careful.
Yeah, we were really strong on our LLC agreement, where we have a way to value the business if it goes wrong. It's 3 of us total, so you can be kicked out by 2 to 1 vote. It keeps you all honest. And we have butted heads. We've had extreme confrontations. We've raised our voices, but luckily we've always found a way to get through it. So it's not roses by any means. It's brutal. And we have a new strategy meeting coming up next week, and it's going to get intense again because different focus.
You should, if you're in a room with a bunch of people that you're partners with and you're afraid to say something, then you got a real problem.
Yeah.
Being able to vocalize healthy debate, man, that's good. Yeah.
Hopefully next week goes well. I'll tell you, this first 6 months, you won't be on the same page, at least in my experience. But after that, you start to line up that future vision.
Yeah.
But you're all doing different parts of the business. So you all want to fix your part and you don't see what's going on the other side.
Well, dude, thanks for being on today.
I appreciate it. No, I love it. Great seeing you again.